Hello, I believe we are live. Welcome. I'm just double checking that everybody can see and hear us. Are we live? I think we are. Yes, we are. We're coming up. So welcome to the first of Kase Filters UK's Sunday night sessions. Hopefully you can both hear and see myself and Nick. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ruth. I'm going to be hosting these fortnightly Sunday sessions for Kase Filters UK. Very much looking forward to this. And my guest tonight, as you can see, is Nick Hanson, who's a Kase UK ambassador, pro photographer, and also my colleague as well. So Nick, welcome.
Thank you, Ruth.
Very much forward to hearing from you in a few moments' time. Just before we start, though, a couple of bits of housekeeping. If you're joining us on YouTube, which everybody is actually, there is a live chat box there. If you want to ask any questions throughout the next 25 minutes or so to Nick, do feel free to pop them in there. There is a wee bit of a delay just due to the system that we're using, around about 30 seconds or so. So if we don't answer your questions straight off, don't be offended. It's not personal. It will come into us. We'll filter those down and we will ask them if we can. So that's just a couple of bits of housekeeping. Also on the channel, on the Kase Filters UK channel, if you missed any of this or if you want to share it afterwards, you can. It'll be available right after the live stream to watch as normal, so you can share that link, do whatever you want to do with that. But you are very welcome. And I can see people on the live chat already. It's great to hear where you're from. Ian in Perthshire, David over in Ohio. I hope OH is Ohio. So you're very welcome. We're going to jump, I think, Nick, if you are ready, we're going to jump right on into this. And basically, we've kind of got 10 questions and obviously anything that you choose to ask as well. So let's go straight on. Nick, how are you, first of all?
I'm very good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm good. Now it's the end of the year. Now, how's your big question to start off? How's your year gone? With obviously we had some bad news in the UK here last night with lockdowns being announced over pretty much the entirety of the country, which isn't much fun. But it's been a pretty, rough year for a lot of people. How's it affected you?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, workshops. I'm a workshop leader. I guess you could say. Yeah, so pretty much predominantly being cancelled. We had some throughout the summer, but it's. I mean, I can't complain. Because I know there's a lot of people that are a lot worse off than I have been this year. So it's just getting through it. I'm not going to complain about it. It's been a difficult year, but like for everyone else. So.
Yeah, exactly. It is what it is. All right. Well, listen, Nick, if you're ready, let's launch straight on into this. And first of all, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about how you got into photography originally?
So probably the age of, I think it was 13 or 14, with some birthday money, I just went out and I can't remember the reason why, but I just bought a compact film camera. I was never the artistic type. I don't even think I'm still the artistic type. My sisters are artistic, but I was by no means that. And I just, once I got the camera, this compact camera, I just enjoyed taking photographs, nothing amazing. And that's kind of where it started from. And then it was probably, so that was age of 13. So probably 5 years, probably 5 years later, actually. So quite a long time to have this compact camera. I bought my first fully manual SLR, which was a Praktica BX20S, if I remember rightly. So, fully manual camera, so manual focus, manual metering. So, you had to use a light meter and whatever. And then obviously that teaches you about light, understanding light and what have you. And it just progressed from there. I could go on through everything else, but that's how it all started, basically.
The basics, the compact camera. I think most of us started with a good old compact back in the day. Fantastic, right? Well, I mean, obviously, like, you're a landscape photographer. What are your favorite shooting conditions, and why? Why is that?
Living on Skye.
Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I mean, this is more come from living on Skye, I guess. So moody, atmospheric, one could say gloomy conditions.
Well, yeah, that comes from living on Skye, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the sunny days, sunny blue sky days. Generally, there are subject matters which will work in those conditions, but I really appreciate when we've got, you know, low hanging cloud, even rain, you know, just with the light breaks through, that's the conditions I love. And that's predominantly when you see my photographs, it would be, I could say, gloomy photographs, you know.
Yes, those are generally the prevailing conditions up on Skye, and yeah, it's certainly been a winter of those already. But yeah, you're right; those are the most kind of dramatic conditions, aren't they, for the kind of stuff that I know you particularly enjoy doing. So, not many blue sky days anyway. You're all right, I think.
No.
Skye. So Nick, besides photography, now we all know you love photography. Do you have any other interests at all?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the main one, which kind of comes from the photography, you know, being an outdoor photographer, is my love of the outdoors. So if I'm choosing not to go out with the camera on a particular day, one of the things I will do is just go out for walks, you know, enjoying being outdoors. And Skye is such a great place for that. You know, I can walk. Actually, early lockdown, you know, when we were restricted to how far we could go, I was able to walk, you know, 10, 15, 16 miles from the house, getting up onto the hills. You know, I was up in the hills within half an hour, and I could spend, you know, a good 3-4 hours walking in the hills from the house. But outside of that, I have a love of cycling.
I was going to say, I have seen you. I've passed you a few times in your
I have waved at you, but obviously, you know, lycra man with a helmet and whatever, you haven't noticed me now.
Well, yeah, you're right. I've blanked you a couple of times, but yeah, I have seen you.
So yeah, road cycling, not mountain biking. Predominantly, yeah, road cycling. That's been probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years maybe.
Did you start road cycling before you came to Skye? Because obviously people on the island, you know, mountains, there's a lot of mountain bikers up here, but road cycling is something you brought with you?
Yeah, and we also, I mean, on Skye, we have our own Team Skye.
Oh, really?
You know, as in the road cycling, well, the road cycling team, which is no longer the road cycling team. But yeah, it was quite interesting when I saw that, you know, the guys in the club out on the road with, you know, Team Skye on the back, but obviously with the Y on with the E on the end.
Oh, so, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, you know, I brought the bike up with me, and I get out when I can. Although somehow over the last couple of years, I've become more of a fair weather cyclist. And, you know, on those bad days on Skye, I've tended not to go out, whereas previously I would go out in all weathers. You know.
Yeah. So. Well, your bad days are obviously spent taking landscape photographs, so you know, got a good balance going on there, I think. All right, so Nick, when it comes to other artists, is there anybody that you're kind of inspired by? So photographers, for example, but maybe even painters or musicians. You know, just when it comes to your own artistic take and how you take photos.
I wouldn't say inspired by. I don't consider myself being inspired, but maybe subliminally. I don't know. But people whose work I admire. You know, I don't see myself as copying anyone. So, I mean, for people in the UK that, you know, follow other landscape photographers, these are going to be obvious ones. People like Mark Littlejohn, you know, I love his work. I know Mark. Neil Burnell, who is also a Kase, affiliated with Kase Filters. I love his work. Very unique is Neil. And other people like Stuart McGlennon, who will be up. He's in the next session, I believe.
In a fortnight's time, yes, he is.
Yeah, love Stuart's work. And obviously Marcus McAdam, you know, some gentleman which we may both know, you know, which obviously, I mean, I got my job from meeting Marcus. So yeah.
He does know what he's doing. A question for you, Nick, from Andrew says, do you ever combine your love of cycling and your love of photography? Not sure what that would look like. Would that look like a GoPro on your bike, or?
Well, I've not done it per se. You know, I've not gone, you know, off the handlebars and taking photographs. So I have done it with the GoPro, videoing my wife, because she's a really keen runner. So I've done it just taking videos of her. But yes, I mean, I photographed the Tour of Britain, you know, a couple of times when they've been in the areas that I've been in. So I've gone out with the camera and done that. Also in the Vuelta a España, which is the main Spanish cycling race. So I have gone out as a spectator, but also taking the camera along. You know, I can't not take the camera along to these events.
Have you ever actually cycled and taken your backpack with you, your camera bag? I've seen the size of
not a camera bag. No, I have toured around France with bags on the back of the bike. We did that back in 2010 for about 9 weeks. My friend and I. But it was just small cameras that we took along with us.
Fair enough, fair enough. All right, Andrew, hopefully that answers your question there. Nick, what are your best tips and your great tips for people who are maybe just getting started in landscape photography? Do you have any of those? Anything you maybe tell people out in workshops, beginners?
Yeah, I mean, the main one for me, and it is probably an obvious one, is basically just get out there. There's nothing better than actually getting out there with your camera and taking photographs. And also, shoot for yourself. I always say this to clients, shoot for yourself. I have this kind of thing that I see on social media that it seems a lot of people go out taking photographs specifically for competitions. There's various weekly competitions on Twitter and what have you, and people are going out specifically for that. I never do. I never go out specifically taking photographs for competitions. I think that will put too much pressure on you. I just go out, take photographs of myself, and also I'm not trying to necessarily please anyone else with my photographs. They are for me first and foremost. Yes, I do have a website. You can purchase prints, but I'm not even really thinking. Maybe that's a bad thing that I'm not thinking about the selling side.
No, because I think if you're starting off, like you're saying, if you're further into your journey and you are taking photos for a reason, obviously for a magazine or for your website or for an employer. But if you're starting out, then I think you're dead right. You just take it for yourself because you need the love of that, don't you? You need that to kind of remain.
Exactly. It has to be for yourself. Don't try and please your mum, please your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your whatever. Just shoot for yourself. This may sound a bit sappy, or just shoot from the heart, so to speak. Whatever pleases you.
What you love, and that's how it kind of develops.
And going back to just getting out there, it's for me, it's about enjoying being out there as well. So that's where the love of the outdoors come. I think we were chatting about it a few days ago. You were asking me something, and I was saying how I used to go out. I used to do more wildlife photography, and I'd go out, say, looking for roe deer. I used to love photographing the roe deer, so it's about almost like, I hate to say this, like the hunt, going
like roe deer as in roadkill.
Roe deer. And I'd be out 3, 4, 5 hours or whatever, and not even see my subject, and I'd get disappointed. But then, after a while, I thought, well, Nick, you've been out there for 3, 4, 5 hours, enjoying being in the great outdoors, so the two, kind of cross over for me now, so I don't always get disappointed if the light, doesn't happen. I've just enjoyed being outside. So enjoy that aspect as well. Don't get too disappointed if you don't come back with anything amazing. If you've taken shots, great, and that's part of the learning as well. It doesn't have to be the most amazing light. Think about, just the compositions or whatever. That's how you will learn, and then the light and whatever will hopefully come with it one day as well.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, Andrew, they're asking, do you feel pressure to shoot for competitions? Obviously, you said no.
No. So the way that I approach it is, I don't go out, like as I said, I don't go out taking photographs for competitions. When the competitions come open for entries, I will then just go through my archives basically and see over the last 1 to 2 years maximum, have I got anything? There may be a time I've pressed the shutter button, seen the image on the back of the camera and think, oh, or when I get home and see it on the bigger screen, that, I think, I'll probably drag that into a folder within Lightroom, or sorry, into a collection on Lightroom that's just called competitions. I think, that will be one, to consider, but I don't go out, for the competitions now.
Fair enough. All right. Well, post-processing, Nick. I mean, a lot of people have got their very different takes on how they approach post-processing. Do you have a particular approach to that at all?
It's very, very simple. So I used to be a developer. Started off as a computer programmer, then web developer, and there's a thing in programming called KISS, KISS, which is keep it simple, stupid. And it's kind of, in a way, you could say that comes into my processing, but my processing, like I guess even like my photography, it's about capturing almost pretty much what I saw, what I saw at the time. So that then spills over into the processing side. Mm-hmm. I spend 30 seconds, maybe a minute tops per image, processing the image, because it's just about bringing out the contrast and whatever back into from the raw file.
Yeah.
There's some people that may spend 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, processing an image, and I just can't get my head around, spending that long on one image. Now, I'm not saying I'm against that. People are creating works of art. I mean, going back to Neil Burnell in particular, he will, I mean, I don't know how long he spends on certain images, but from looking at his work, I believe he does put effort into some of them, a lot more effort into some of them.
But he puts some effort into his images, yeah.
more effort, more effort than maybe effort's the wrong type of word. But spends more time on them. And creates these works of art. So there is, in my mind, there is a place for this. Like I said, I do love his work, but it's just not my own style, shall we say? So yeah.
So are you into? I know Marcus McAdam, who we work with as well. He's dead against things like cloning things out of images, even little things like telegraph poles and stuff like that. The idea being to get it right in camera, and probably like you, just tidy it up as best you can. Are you against cloning in, cloning out, that kind of thing in post processing when it comes to pure landscapes? I suppose, and you're not going for the artistic take.
No, I mean, you've said pure landscape, so I'd probably maybe be pigeonholed as being purist.
Not a bad thing.
So yeah, I mean, even there's when you're photographing at the Kerrang, which if people don't know the Isle of Skye, is probably one of my favourite locations. I think
go on social media and you will see it's definitely Nick's favourite location. Yeah.
I even said to my wife yesterday when I arrived up in Wales to see her for Christmas that I wanted to print a panel of the Kerrang, and she just went, no. We've seen enough of them. At the Kerrang, there's certain angles. If you take certain shots, there's a yellow salt bin on the road, on the hairpin bend of the road. And I've seen some people have actually cloned that out of the shot, and I never would, because it's there. It's part. I guess you could say it's part of the landscape, but it's part of it's there. It's part of the landscape. It's there, so I won't remove it just because it was there when I took the picture. If I didn't want it there, I wouldn't take the photograph. That's the way that I see it. So
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Craig is just saying, he said he's done the same thing over the year with wildlife, which is what you were talking about. Said he's got fed up of carting big lenses around. So last year he started doing landscape and really enjoying that as well. So I'm still doing a bit of wildlife as well. Craig, thank you for that. Moving on, Nick, if you have one, maybe you've got several, what is your most memorable moment, do you think, in photography?
I have
apart from meeting me. Of course.
Of course. Claire's not listening now.
Sorry, Claire.
I mean, well, touching on Claire, I mean, it's kind of is a memorable moment in photography, but I guess my most memorable day in photography is actually meeting Marcus. And what I mean by that is, so this goes back to 2015, August 2015. I can't remember the exact date off the top of my head. Late August. So I was living in East Yorkshire at the time. And I was actually going up to the Cairngorms to do some wildlife photography. So spend a couple of days with a professional photographer called Neil McIntyre. So actually, I mean, on the wildlife side, he is someone's work who I very much admire on the wildlife side, and going back to influences and whatever. But I thought, it's been a couple of years since I've been to Skye, so I'll just it's not exactly a detour, because obviously East Yorkshire on the eastern side, and then I could go straight up to the Cairngorms, so I kind of went west and then across. But I say it's been a few years since I've been there, so I thought, as everyone else does, I did Google search, photography workshop Skye, and obviously Marcus McAdam Photography, as it was called then, before it became Skye Photo Academy. So I did a workshop with Marcus, and it was pretty much the end of that day in August, whatever it was, 2015, that I got offered the job to come and work for Marcus. He just, we were chatting during the day, and he said, in the sunset session, he was like, obviously we were talking about what you're doing at the time. So I was a web developer, and he says, it doesn't sound like you really enjoy it. I've seen the way you work. I've seen your images. How would you fancy coming up to Skye and working for me? We're looking for another team member. So it was himself and Harry Martin at the time. That was actually Harry's first year, and he needed another person on the team. And yeah, I mean, it was a no-brainer. I was a web developer. Photography was my passion, my hobby, and to make that into my now job, I've just finished my 5th year on Skye. It's just been amazing.
Wow.
But the second date, this is
which probably should have come first.
Yeah, it's also a bit of an not embarrassing one, but it's just because I don't want people to get the wrong idea of the workshops that we offer on Skye. So this is September. I don't remember the full date, but it's September 2016. So it was my first year on Skye. I actually met my now wife, and she was a client.
Go to Skye, join a workshop, meet your life's partner.
I always say
that's the new tagline.
But she made the first move, not me. So.
Fantastic. Nick, a couple of questions after you've rewatered yourself there.
Yeah.
David's asking, do you go out and shoot alone most of the time or shoot with others, and which do you prefer?
I believe I get my best photographs when I'm on my own. You do kind of sometimes hear people saying that photography or landscape photography or wildlife photography is very much a solitary affair. And yeah, I do feel that I get my best photographs when I'm on my own. I guess it's no distractions or something. Yeah. But I do also like going out with other people. Obviously, even just when I'm with clients, it's good to be out with them. Sometimes I don't. Obviously, they are clients; they come first and foremost. So I'm not always taking photographs. It's just if something amazing is going to happen, they're already set up taking the photographs. Or just say, do you mind if I? Even sometimes they say, "Are you not taking photographs as well?" But as you may well know, I've also been heading out with your dad more recently, taking photographs.
Yes, you have.
And he's actually, thanked me for getting him back into getting out more on a regular basis, and I've enjoyed that. I have, got some really good photographs when I've been out with him. So as I say, I feel like it. Sorry?
It's a mixture.
It is, but first and foremost, I think I do get my best work when I'm on my own. I say there's no distractions. I can go exactly where I want. No one's potentially getting in the way, shall we say. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, David, hopefully that answered your question. Let's move on to another question here. Nick, I think I already know the answer to this, but let me ask you anyway. Can you tell us about your favorite location and why it is your favorite? I'm not going to spoil it by saying where it could potentially be, but go for it.
Yeah, it's the Korang on the Isle of Skye. There's a couple of reasons for that. It's about 25 minute drive from where I live on Skye. So it's it's easy to get to. Even like 1 hour before sunrise, I can look out the window, kind of get an idea what the clouds are doing, and then I can get to there quickly. If I haven't got an initial plan, I can get up, have a look out, and then but also, I mean, it's a stunning landscape. Don't get me wrong, it's a stunning landscape. So for sunrise, it's a sunrise location. It's on the eastern side of Skye, and it's one of those locations that you can walk 5 minutes, you can walk 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and get great shots. There's basically so much you can do there. If you go up the Old Manor Store, there's not so many, different types of shots you can get. I just, even just from a walking point of view, it's just a great place to go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know Marcus has mentioned on occasions, oh, Nick, you're going to the Kerrang again, So.
It offers unlimited variety, and you're right. Sunrise up there.
Yeah.
Just there's a million different compositions that you can get up there. Yeah. I mean, on this subject, but not quite on this subject, Andrew's asking, do you ever get or do you ever feel bored by revisiting the same location frequently?
No, definitely not. And I get that asked. Anyway. Yeah, I get that asked by clients all the time as well, because you see it in so many different conditions, so many different, light. It changes throughout the, obviously it changes throughout the year as well. The angle of the sun, how it works with the landscape there. So I definitely don't get bored at all. And I'm always, even now I'm still looking for new compositions there. Because a lot of people will talk about the cliche shot of, from the Kerrang or what have you, which I can understand. So, I am always, looking for new compositions, and also after particular shots from the Kerrang that I haven't got yet, so I've got almost like a bucket list of, shots from viewpoints that I'm waiting for the right conditions to happen. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously the Kerrang is a big landscape. So big landscapes versus intimate landscapes. What are your own thoughts on that?
As in my preference?
As in your preference? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I mean,
obviously you're most known probably for the big landscapes, but landscapes are they're another challenge, aren't they, creatively?
Yeah. I mean, more recently, when I've gone to like Talisker Beach on Skye, I've been doing more kind of intimate stuff with the patterns in the sand, so to speak. But also, intimate landscapes can be taken with a longer lens. So, a lot of people may think that landscape photography, I need a really wide angle lens. But going back to the Kerrang, a really wide angle lens doesn't work there for most of the shots, because the main focal point on the image becomes so small when you're shooting so wide. So I've found, since being on Skye, I'm using a 70 to 200 millimeter lens a lot of the time to pick out more details. So that is intimate landscapes.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, probably it might be like a 70-30% split, wider scenes to intimate landscapes from my personal thing.
Sure.
But I do like doing both. For me, for something like the Kerrang again, it's just what the light is doing that will dictate as well, what lens I'm using. So whether I'm using a wide lens or a longer lens.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a question from Pamela. She says, some other photographers maintain every time they go out, it's with an empty mind and with no idea of what they're going to try and photograph. And only that way can you truly react to your surroundings. What are your thoughts?
React to your surroundings. I generally go out with a plan. So I'm kind of the opposite of that. I think most of the time you actually need a plan. I mean, a lot of people might slate me for this. It's just the way that like I say, I've got a kind of bucket list of shots that I want. So I will be looking at the forecast and saying, right, this is tomorrow's forecast. What will potentially work? If I get there and the forecast is completely wrong, then yes, I'll, if the light's happening or whatever, then I'll just do something different. So reacting to, I don't want to put people's noses out of joint here.
No, you're a man with a plan, as are many photographers. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like I say, if there's people that that's the way they work, then great. But again, that's just not for me. I prefer to know what I'm going out to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair enough. I mean, everybody works differently, don't they? Yeah. So brilliant. Pam, hopefully that answered that question for you. Nick, last question here of my own. Do you have a favorite Kase filter, and why is that?
Yeah, probably, I'll say two. Solid ND filters, so solid neutral density filters, so used for long exposure work. So I have the 3, the 6, and the 10 stop, but my go-to filters are the 3 and the 6. I'm not necessarily someone that's in for mega long exposures. I've maybe taken, I don't know, 10 images, I'm guessing, that are really long exposures. I prefer to, so if I'm, regardless of whether I'm working with a waterfall, river, or at the coast, I prefer to retain texture in the water rather than completely smoothing it out. So there'll be the 3 of the 6 stop, obviously depending on the available light. I aim for anything shorter than half a second through to maybe 2 seconds, second long exposures. So yeah, the solid NDs.
Okay, fantastic. That's actually most of my questions. Like, I've got another question that come in on the YouTube live chat. What is the question that you get asked the most when running workshops, and what do most people struggle with? So a 2 in 1 there. So what question do you get asked most, and what do most people struggle with?
Question I get asked most. I guess it's probably centered around the histogram. And it is, for some reason, it's also weirdly, or I'll say weirdly, that people struggle most with understanding the histogram. Now, I actually say to my clients, it's your best friend kind of thing. So once you understand the histogram, it makes capturing the image correct at the picture capture stage the easiest, the best way to capture that. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm trying to think if that's the question I get asked.
What do most people struggle with as well? Or is that possibly maybe the same?
Composition is going to be the biggest thing, and it's kind of one of the hardest things to teach because it is such a broad aspect of it. In different locations. I mean, obviously there are the basics. Using the rule of third, using leading lines and what have you, but rules are made to be broken, and it's trying to get that into someone's head. I don't necessarily compose thinking, I must have the horizon, a third of the horizon, and this intersecting the third. It's going back to shooting for myself when I compose a scene. It's kind of what the composition is, what feels good to me. That's how I will compose a scene. It will be something that people struggle with more.
Yeah. Okay. Craig's asking, do you use the new Kase round magnetic filters?
I don't, but if Andy or Matt are listening,
fancy sending one over to Nick for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to try them out. But I haven't used them yet. No. So I'm using the K9 holder.
Fantastic. Nick, I think that is about it. Craig's just agreeing with you there, saying composition is so hard that people see different compositions to others, which is, you're absolutely right, absolutely personal. Nick, if people want to find out more about your work, do you have a website or social media handles that people can follow?
I do. So it's nickhanson.co.uk. And the social media links will be on the website. If you're looking on a desktop computer, they don't show up on the mobile website. Because they're each for like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, they're all different. Like there's one's Nick Hanson Photography, one's Nick Hanson Photo, and one's Nick Hanson Photos. Because I started off with photography, but I think Facebook doesn't allow so many characters and things like that. I do have a YouTube channel, which I haven't actually made a video since April. You can find me under Nick Hanson Photography, and also Photography Online, which we
of course. The YouTube show. So all links from your website to your social media then. Yeah, I think I'm just double checking I've not missed anybody. I think that is all the questions that we've had. So listen, guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And Nick, thank you so much for giving up your time.
And thank you everyone who's watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you all enjoyed the first Kase Filters UK Sunday night session. Nick was a fantastic first guest, so very much looking forward to carrying these on. Our next one is on Sunday, the 10th of January, so that's 2 weeks. It's going to be fortnightly. Same time, same place, and we have got Stuart McGlennon, another pro landscape photographer who's based in the Lakes, I believe, the Lake District here in the UK. You can get more info on him if you want, lensdistrict.com, I believe. So same place, same time, 7 p.m. On the Kase Filters UK YouTube channel. There will be various links and stuff like that going out on their social media channels. So if you want to share that or anything like that, you are welcome. And this particular session with Nick will be available to watch again, as I said at the beginning. If you want to watch it yourself or if you want to share it with anybody else, just keep an eye on the Kase Filters UK YouTube page. I think as soon as the stream ends, pretty much as soon as it ends, that'll be available to watch again. So yeah, I think that's about it. So keep an eye on the Kase Filters UK website for upcoming guests. I know we've got plans for at least the next few months of photographers that we're going to be chatting to just for about half an hour. And as I say, if you do want to ask any questions over the months, as you see people coming online and, you know, people that are coming up, then do feel free to ask them in advance as well. That's always really great. But until, I think, Sunday the 10th, have a really good Christmas. If you're in the UK, I hope you're not suffering too much with the new restrictions that have been launched on us last night. And have a great Christmas, have a great new year, and we will see you in a fortnight's time. Nick, thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to yourself and to everyone else.
All right, good night.
Cheers.